Okay, can you guys hear me? If you guys can, do me a favor, just type yes or check or something in the text box. One reminder for those of you that have been on a webinar with me in the past, there is about a 10-second delay from the time I speak till you can hear me. I'm assuming there's a delay from the time that you type and it gets back to me. So if it goes quiet for a little bit, it's just because I'm waiting for the delay, and we'll go from there. So and touch on multiple news that may affect price. Sure. Yeah. So let me go for that real quick. So let me welcome everybody first to coming to this webinar. So this is something that I've wanted to do and I've had it planned for a few weeks. Whenever you create anything new, there's always going to be a time frame where you got to kind of figure, okay, these are the mistakes we made and these are the things we need to change kind of going forward. And it's something that I wanted to kind of rehash kind of what we've done and where I'd like to take things to make it a better service for you guys. So it is just me tonight. The other guys are actually out in Vegas at the Traders Expo. So if I'm a little bit slow on things, I do apologize for that one because it is just me. So I'm going to try to cover everything. All right. Let me just run through the agenda real quick here. There we go. And I don't know why it's not sizing it correctly, but you guys get the point. Like I said, tonight is very, very informal. If you're not wearing your pajamas, go get them on real quick. So I'll do a quick update of the 30-minute program. I would like to get some feedback from you guys on things that I could do differently. I want to share some data. Actually, some students got me back. I want to go over how the signals are created. That seems to be a question that a lot of people are kind of confused about. And that kind of also goes in with the feedback. I want to talk about money management as well. We had people in the first week making $1,500, $1,800, $2,000. I know they were over leveraging their account, but they were happy to, get the signals and go away with the money. But some of you have showed some frustration with, I'm down today or I'm up today. I made 200, I lost 200. So I want to talk a little bit about money management and some of the things that actually weren't covered in the class. I've touched on them, but I want to kind of go one step further for you guys. And then, as I mentioned before, I want to kind of cover the kind of ideas that I have going forward. Like I said, originally when I created the program, there was just so much information that we had to kind of get out there to get you guys rolling. They wanted to continue the signals. Originally, we weren't sure how far we were going to continue to go with it. And like I said, I'll kind of cover that in the future aspect of it. So as far as the 30-day update goes, basically, we kind of gave everybody free access to it for the first 30 days till the end of September. So we've really only been focusing on, like for the last month, trying to get signals out. And there's been weeks where we've hit almost everything that we've put out. We had a couple for 3 weeks. There's been weeks where we've only had 1 or 2 winners. And again, that's the nature of, of these things. And part of the reason I wanted to share this with you guys is because one of the challenges that I didn't take into consideration when I was kind of building this whole idea was the delay factor. We've had some technological issues that were beyond our control. And, a few of you actually on here, that I've talked to regularly on through email, have had issues and delays and things getting the signal. So one of the biggest challenges for me, and I'll be 100% transparent with you guys, I've actually never done a signal service before. I've built trades and things like that for people that have services, but I've never actually managed one myself anyway. And you guys know how busy I am. That's why I created this program. But one of the biggest challenges that we have in sending signals out, both myself, Eric, and Jack, is figuring out how to get things out in a timely fashion to you. And that's been somewhat of a challenge. There's trades that, the three of us, we throw on real fast, but by the time we can get the signal out to you, it's already too late. It's already moved too much. And that's been a little bit of a challenge. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get trades that I don't feel are going to move in a regular basis or, like a very fast, time frame. But then we'll move, in the middle of the night and things. Thus far, we've tried to stick to just 30-minute trader program-esque trades. There are plenty of other trades that we would love to send out, but they don't match the actual program. So that's kind of some of the feedback I like to get from you guys. You guys can just type yes or no on this one. If we start sending you trades that are not 30-minute trader-based trades, are you guys okay with getting those? And let me give you an example so everybody is on the same page. A lot of the trades that I'll take overnight, they are basically kind of the overnight trend trades, but they're more reversals. They're a reversal of the trade, and it's a lot of what I trade. I use spreads for them, so the risks are very, very low. I'd like to give you guys kind of double the signals we're getting now, and this would make it very easy for me to get them to you. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, let me know, and then I can make sure that we can add those in. Obviously, there's no charge for that. It's just something that I like to do. I'd like to add in there because, like I said, they're great trades. We're making money off of them, and I feel horrible that I'm making money for them. Then I send a trade out that's based off of the program, and it doesn't work. But then I'm making money, trading other things out there as well. Greg, this is about the alerts for the 30-minute trader program. So it's kind of like, yes, all of them. Yes, instant trades are okay with me. You bet. Yes, don't care if it's 30 minutes. Okay, good. Okay, so it looks like across the board, you guys are okay if I send some that are not directly associated with the 30-minute trader program. Okay, that's good. All right, that was kind of the first obstacle I wanted to get over there. The other one, how many of you are having issues with determining kind of what, I don't know, how is the format of the actual signals that we're sending out? I've sent some of them out. Eric sends some of them out. You probably can tell our writing styles a little bit differently. Is there anything in the way that we're typing the signals up to you that that is confusing, or that you'd like to see change, or a format that you think will be better for you guys? Like I said, I'm waiting to see if any what you guys are typing here. I'm assuming some people are typing. Okay, so they add a little bit more of the rationale. Steven, the only problem with I can't send screenshots out. Eric tried it for a little while with one website, and I don't know. We got a bunch of feedback that it was confusing and people didn't like it. So, I mean, if you do, I did not receive any signals at all. Okay, well, I'll have to check into that. I'm not sure I'm getting the signals, screenshots, set up for $45 profit. Yeah, John, sometimes. All right, so John brings up a good point. So let me cover this one now. I was going to cover this more in the money management futures, but let's just get it out here now. So you'll notice lately I've sent a couple different options out in trades. Last week I sent one out that had two different profits. One of them was for about $55, I think, and then the other one was set for $40 or $45. Okay, now here's where this gets confusing. Sometimes I will send out spreads, as in binary spreads, not the actual spreads inside of there. And you'll say, wait a second, we're risking more than we're making. Yes, that is true. There are trades that I have sent out that we are actually risking more. But what's happening is the profit target and the probability of having it hit are much, much higher. And I don't like to do it all the time, but occasionally it's just too good. The pricing is just too good to kind of pass up. So I'll go ahead and take it. A lot of times, for me personally, if you guys want to know how I do it, if I sent the signal out where one of them we were risking, 55 or 60 to make 40. And then the second one, which was farther away, we were risking 40 to make 60. I ended up taking both of them personally in my own account. But one difference that we've tried to do, which is different than a lot of other people that set up signal services, we are not sending trades out that are deep inside the money because we're trying to get, a big bang for a buck on these things. Some signal services out there, they'll send things in that are basically, really expensive, paying $60, $70, but the likelihood of them hitting are very, very high. Okay. I don't like those because you take one loss because of some random thing and you've just wiped out 4 trades. But will I take one occasionally that's pretty close to 1-to-1? Yeah, I personally will in my own account. And if you don't like it, as far as the risk for your own personal account, don't take it. Okay. It's just one of those things. Okay. You got to make sure that these trades make sense for you, money wise. Okay. We all have different risk personalities, so we need to make sure that we can. Could have anything. Hold on. Viola, yes, it absolutely could. I'm going to write your name down and have Eric kind of contact you for that one. I know overseas people have a hard time receiving texts, and they're trying to get that kind of instituted and worked out. Okay. But John, that's probably why. Now, here's the other thing, John. If I'm sending out an actual spread, a Nadex spread, one of the ones that has a ceiling and a floor, I will generally set a target for $45. I typically won't risk any more than 20. So it's actually over a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio in those things. Those are kind of like my bread and butter, what I do. And those are the signals that I was asking you guys if you'd be okay taking. And an example would be, kind of last night with the pound. We were risking $15 to $18. We were looking for a $45 profit target. We did it last week with the Australian dollar. I've done it with the dollar yen. I've done it a bunch of times. And what it is we're not putting things on two sides. So again, we got to make sure that when you're reading, you got to make sure, is it a spread that we created or are we trading a Nadex spread? Okay. I like when you provide directional bias and a pit move too. Yeah, Stephen, I try to do that a little bit more often because it helps you guys kind of understand things. like I said, I don't have any delusions that you guys are going to take the signal service forever, but I want to give you guys enough knowledge that you can start doing it on your own. And this kind of goes into the feedback as well. So one of the things that I've kind of run into is I could literally send you guys an oil trade and a natural gas trade every single week. And we have for a majority of time here. Okay. But I don't know. For me, it's, I can do it. I'll trade it. But most of you know how to trade that already. So is that still a signal that you want me to send, or do you guys just want to do that on your own? Because like I said, I don't want to count that every single week when I'm sending you the same exact 2 trades. I mean, technically speaking, you're going to get an oil trade and a natural gas trade on Wednesday and Thursday. And I could do that every week, but it just seems like if I could find other opportunities, those are ones that you could figure out yourself. But I'll continue to send those if you guys like those. Nathan, okay. Nathan has a question about when the trades are typically sent. Nathan, typically I will, after my kids go to sleep at about 8:30 Eastern time is when I'll jump on, and that's when I tend to do my overnight setups. What I'm looking for is I'm letting the market kind of stabilize. I'm waiting for the Asian session to kind of first get its initial kind of news releases out. And then I'm looking for what possible trades are going on. And, we'll actually go to Forex Factory before we're done here, and we'll kind of do like a setup tonight so you guys can kind of see what my process is going through. The other thing is I'll do things in the morning. So you'll see a lot of news releases at 8:30 or 10:30. So what I'll do is I'll look at 2-hour binaries early in the morning. And then if I'm around my desk at lunch, which hasn't been happening lately, same thing. I'll send those out, but those are much, much harder to send because of the delay. I can't really, I did like a test group where I was sending out lunchtime butterflies, but they're only 20-minute binaries. And if it takes you guys 6 or 7 minutes to get them, the things are moving too far. And I was like, God, I was killing myself trying to get these out ahead of time, but there's no way I can time them with the strike prices. So it was just way too difficult to get them out. So that was hard. But typically you're going to see them between 8:30 and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then depending on the day, between 8 and 9:30 in the morning is what my goal is. I would like to start sending you more. So what I'd like to do now is make sure that you guys get one at least every night. So I talked this over with Eric. What we'd like to do is we'd like to send out one weekly swing trade. Okay, so we have something going on for the whole week because those are important trades to be able to have. I'd like to send you guys one overnight setup, something that I expect to trigger kind of in the middle of the night. It may or may not have to go into the middle of the day. And then I'd like to find something for you in the morning. The morning one, I'll probably pull something from Jack or something that I'm seeing with news based. So what you'll see is you'll see an overnight trade, most likely with a spread. In the morning, you'll see a binary, probably based off of news. And then you'll see a weekly trade, most likely based off of a butterfly of some sort. Okay. That's kind of what we'd like to do in the future. Just so it's more ironed out so you guys know what to expect and when it's going to get there. Yeah, Nathan, I'm going to run you through it tonight. Keep sending. After applying your evening trades 12 hours after you send them out. Okay, yeah, sending them out 12 hours afterwards. So here's the thing. So a lot of people ask why I put a lot of trades on in the middle of the night. A lot of times what I find is I can take advantage of the European session. Like a lot of people don't realize this, and I mentioned it inside of in the training. Like if you look at just the ES, it moves 7 to 8 points every single night. Not every, I mean, I'd say probably 80-85% of the time. It's moving 6 or 7 points. I mean, most futures traders, that they can get 3 points a day, they're happy. And from the time the market closes till it opens the next day, you're getting anywhere from 7 to 9 points every single night. So the market's definitely moving in the middle of the night. Particularly with currencies, you're going to get a lot of European news in there when we're all sleeping on the East Coast. So that's why I tend to send those things out. Now, here's the drawback to those. There are more premium kind of based inside of those, in those things. But if we're going to start using spreads to take advantage of those things, particularly for reversals, it's nice because that premium doesn't disappear until early in the morning, say at 10 or 11 o'clock our time. So if we put a trade on at 9 p.m. at night and say we risk $17 or $18, right? And we set a working order for $45 or even $35. Let's say, let's just double our money, right? You can set up 2 or 3 of those things, risk $50, and end up making, $90, $100 by the time you wake up in the morning. And all you have to do is set a working order as a profit target, okay? Ideally, what happens, and I was hoping it was going to happen this morning, so I had it as an example, was if the pound news was bad this morning, the pound dollar would have fallen right in line. It would have tanked this morning, okay? But unfortunately, we had good pound news and good U.S. news, so it didn't really do a whole lot. It dropped, but it didn't drop as much as I would have liked it to. But those are the type of trades I'm talking about getting you guys overnight. Something that when you wake up in the morning, you're going to say, oh, I lost 16 bucks, or, oh, I made $45, while I was sleeping. Those type of trades per contract. And again, depending on your account size, if you're okay risking, 30 or 40 or, $45, great. Make 120 bucks in the other direction. Okay. That's kind of what I'm looking to get you guys by setting these overnight trades. Can we have more transparency? I initiated the trade alert. Brian, Eric, Jack, or Perry. Perry doesn't do any of the 30-minute trader alerts. Jack, neither does Jack. Typically, it's me and Eric that do them. I'd say most of them lately, I kind of took them back over again from Eric. He helped me when for about a week, 2 weeks. Eric's done well with them, but typically Eric and I discuss them and make sure that we're both on the same page. So it's not like it's me being rogue one night or him being rogue. And the reason we do that and we discuss them, and actually sometimes I'll run them past Jack as well, is the more eyes, the better, I think. If I take a loss, I don't want to send a trade out to you guys that's a revenge trade. So I want to make sure that I always have a second set of eyes that approves the trade that I'm looking at. And it's very rare that any of us disagree with each other. Typically, as we're putting the trades together, we'll set them up, particularly with oil trades or natural gas trades. Even like with the ag report last week, we set the things up together. And literally, as we're putting them in our own accounts, I'm typing up the message for you. Jack's actually taken some gigantic positions off some of these things. He had one last week that he had like 150 contracts in. So these are trades that we're definitely taking lives in our own accounts. Gets to my inbox around 3 a.m. when I open it up between. Okay, sounds good. I really like that plan. Okay, at some point, maybe then you can go over where to find a location to sign up for the alerts and the pricing. Yeah, Greg, I can get them to send that out to you. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of what the idea is. You guys would like more transparency. I'm taking notes with these just so you guys know. So you guys would like a little bit more transparency, a little more kind of like what's inside our heads. As far as who's sending them out, I'll try to do a better job about that one. Typically, this is kind of like a little secret. I will typically tell you what it is, what style trade it is. Eric typically doesn't. Not that I do it every time, but I'll typically say overnight news trade or news breakout. I'll explain kind of what the strategy is. And I'll also talk about how many pips you need to kind of get to where you need to go. But I'll try to figure out a way to make it easy for you guys to figure out who's setting them. But like I said, typically it's a group effort. Two or three of us will get together at night. We'll talk about them, make sure that we like them, and that it doesn't conflict with anybody's overall kind of opinion. So as far as how we discuss, how they're actually created. So let me see if I can share. Oops. I'm going to turn screen share off for 1 second, guys, here. Let me see. All right. So this is an example. Let's see. I'm going to share this screen. All right. You guys should be able to see Forex Factory, and you can follow along with me. So right now, typically I have my kids. Tonight, they're actually at their mom's house. So it's a little bit earlier than what I do this from, or the time that I do it from. But literally, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Forex Factory and kind of take a big whack at this and say, listen, okay, what do we have news-wise? So if I was looking at this right now, I'm looking at this going, wow, there's a lot of pound news. Okay, there's construction PMI, there's inflation. The forecast is there's going to be a rate change tomorrow, which is going to send, the pound moving all over the place. When it goes up, it could really, again, if we get the rate change, great. If we don't get the rate change, there's going to be a big movement. Okay. Then at 8:30 in the morning, we also have, the BOE president speaking, and then we also have unemployment claims. So there is a lot of pound dollar news tonight. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce over to Nadex and kind of take a look at it and say, okay, what kind of strike prices do I have that are currently out there? Now, I can't predict what any of this news is. I have no idea. They're saying that the forecast is there's definitely going to be a rate hike. That's great. That's most likely already priced in, so we can't bank on that. But I will tell you right now, if there is not a rate hike, it's gonna tank really, really bad. But with the inflation report and everything else, there's no way to predict how much movement we can actually have. All right. So one of the things I'll do too is I will start looking at a chart. All right. So let me see if I pull this over here. Nope. It wants me to actually pull the share down. Hold on. I got to pull this back again. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up some charts. Okay. Now I think this is cut off for you guys, and I don't know why it's doing that. But basically, let me see if I make this. Nope, doesn't help it at all. All right. Do me a favor, guys. Can you let me know, is it cutting this off right now? Like, can you see, does it start with trend here, or does it say WTI before the trend? Or like is USD cut off? Because if so, I'll do everything in the middle. I'm just waiting for the pause here for you guys to answer. I'm not sure. USD cutoff. Okay. Yeah, for some reason it's sizing really strange. I'm not exactly sure why it's sizing strange. But anyway, you'll get the point. So basically, I'm expecting there to be a big movement tomorrow because there's so much news for these two pairs. So as I mentioned inside of the trading, so the first thing I'm doing is I'm kind of looking for different things on, the charts. Typically, when we're setting up overnight charts, I'm going to be looking at 4 hours. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the daily, which is kind of up over here on the left-hand side. And what I'm looking at right now is, and this is just top level analysis. You guys don't have to be great, with technical analysis or anything. Just have some type of chart and to look at this. And what I'm going to say is, when I look here, we're kind of up at this kind of peak in this area, right? Okay. So what this is telling me right now is this market has hit an area. It has a higher likelihood of going down than it has going up. Okay. It's a sideways trend. It's been sideways for a while, but it's also at the top of the range. Now, does that mean that it couldn't go up? No, it absolutely can, but the chances are most likely going down. So I'm going to weigh that and look at it, okay? I'm also looking at the fact that we had two very big blue candles up in a row here to drive it up to the top, which typically when you see big, strong moves like this, you're going to see retraces back and forth, okay? So this is kind of a plus to the downside. I'm going to look at the 4 hour and I'm going to say, okay, what's included in here? What do we have here? Well, I see a kind of a speed bump over here, but I see a lot of downward momentum. It can go all the way back down to this 31 area, right? It's still inside of that same box, okay? Kind of move it out. Oh, you guys can't see it. Here, I'll move this top one here. I apologize for that phone. It's on the other side, and I can't reach it. So I'm going to look it down like a 3 hour or 4 hour. We'll go to 4 hours, okay? Same thing, sideways. See how it's on the top of this range again? So I'm saying, yep, I like this one. This could definitely move. And if it breaks this top side here, oops, it's not lining up. There you go. If it breaks this top side, I expect this thing to blow much, much higher up into this 34 range. So we can definitely do that, okay? So here's another thing that I'm looking at, which I don't talk about tons, is I'm looking at what the ATR is. The reason I'm looking at the ATR is because I want to make sure that the strike prices are matching what its daily movement could be, okay? Now, if you guys aren't familiar with ATR, I do cover it inside of the trading, but it's very important for something like this for news-wise, all right? So it's actually not on this one right now. For some reason, it got popped off in the update. So what it's saying is the daily ATR is 100 pips. Okay. When we have that much news, this thing can definitely move 100 pips in that time frame. It's moved probably 15 to 20 right now since the close. Yeah, we're looking at about 15 pips. So it's got a lot of range from where we can go, okay? This is why you won't see a lot of signals that I send with the US Swiss out because it just doesn't move as much. And even the Australian dollar, I don't send out as much because it doesn't have as big of ATR. So this thing can absolutely move without a doubt, particularly with something as a rate hike, which is the biggest mover that exists, okay? So I'm really, really liking this one right now. So from this point, now what I got to do is I got to go over and I got to look at Nadex strikes and see if it makes sense, okay? Now, hopefully this one, by the way it's boxed off, you'll be able to see it. So let me go over here. Let me share this, okay? Now, you guys can all see the same thing, all right? It's spaced pretty well for this one. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually kind of look down and say, okay, what are we looking at as far as strike prices go, all right? Now, obviously, when we're looking for a news breakout, we're looking to spend about $40. So we're looking somewhere in this range. So right about here, see the 133? 133 is a good number because it's a big round hole number. So it's going to act as a magnet anyway. All right. It looks right now that that's about $34. So it's a little tiny bit expensive for what we're looking for. But then the question is, could it go up here to the 133.20 or 133.40? All right. Well, we're at 162 right now. And if it has a daily ATR on a regular, plain old, just average run-of-the-mill day, which is not a rate hike, if this thing moves 100 pips, are we going to make money on this? Well, absolutely, right? Because if we're at 132.62 right now, and that's where my cursor is right now, and I only need this to move 60 pips to be profitable, well, then yes, it looks good. Here, it needs to move 80 pips. Now, is 80 pips possible for $19.15? Yeah, I would say that it is, right? If it moves 80 pips on a day that the, with everything going on, that looks like a good potential trade for me. All right. Now, on the flip side, can we find one on the bottom side? Sure, most likely we can. Same thing. If we take the exact opposite, we take 80 pips in the bottom direction, we're looking at 131.80. So right here, we could get into this side for, let me go down to 1. Oh, it's going to be weird on me. All right. So it looks like I'm glad that they changed all these things around. There we go. That's actually incorrect. I hate when they change the settings on me for things. So if we're selling it for 82, I got to go back in and change all the settings. Okay, so the reason why my settings are weird on this one is because this account is loaded for mobile because we're doing a video for mobile right now. But if you're selling it for 82, right, you're risking $18 on this trade. All right. If you're risking 19 in the other direction, so we're risking a little bit less. We're risking about $38 in this trade, banking on 80 pips on a 100 pip day, on a 100 pip ATR currency pair. Now, will it hit? I don't know if we're 100% sure. You know, obviously I have no certainty, but when I look at what's going on for tomorrow with 4 or 5 red news releases, particularly a rate cut, is it worth taking and is it worth sending out? And then that's a discussion that Eric and I have. My personal opinion on this one is absolutely it is, particularly for a day that there's expected to be a rate cut. Could nothing happen? Sure. It could be exactly as expected. All the news tomorrow, all 5 different news releases, they could come out the same way. And that's just something that I run into. There's nothing I can do about that one. But we have, and you guys can't see this, I just switched over. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 red news releases for the pound and 2 red news releases for the US dollar. So there's a lot of movement that can bounce things all over the place tomorrow just for this trade. Now, that's one way we can play this, and that's what I've been sending out. Now, here's the other one, okay? Let's go down and look at a currency spread. And hopefully you guys can still see me moving. Yeah. So if we do a pound spread, let's see if this matches up for us. So it looks like being at 132.60 right now, it looks like 132.50 is kind of the sweet spot. All right. Now, here's how we would play this one. Being the fact that it's a little bit above right now, we could get into a trade and it's gonna do this on me. Let's see if it'll give it to me. No, it's not. It's gonna make me do it by 10. All right, so I really should switch over to mobile. Basically, I can divide this by 10. So it's basically a $40 risk right now. The reason why there's a $40 risk, even though it's out of the money, is because of all the premium that's associated with this one. So this is one of those ones where it's kind of like it's probably better to take it through a binary than it is a spread because there's just so much premium stacked into this thing. Okay. Particularly if we were going to take the top side of things, that's going to cost us even more. Yeah, it's going to be about $52. So you could hedge yourself with $90, but that's going to be a big movement that you're going to need out of there with the premium involved. So in this case, for me personally, I'd go ahead and take this one through. I would take it with a binary. Now, for some reason, Viola, you said that you're in Australia. You'll be up when this thing happens at 3 a.m. in the morning for me. The way that you would play this is go look at your 2-hour binaries because 2-hour binaries don't have as much premium associated in them. This one has 18 hours with all that red news. There is so much premium stacked into this thing. Okay. So flip it around, get a little bit closer, do 2-hour binaries. I'm sorry, 2-hour spreads. And that's going to be best case scenario on how to play this one. So that's one way that I would, go after this one. Other things for natural gas, let's dive. Well, first off, before I jump ahead, does anybody have any questions about kind of the rationale of how I walk through that process? I'm not looking at any technical indicators. I'm purely looking at, 7 red news releases in a split currency pair and pricing that's less than $40 risk to make, $60 in the other direction. So if I have any questions about that, go ahead and type that one so I can get them answered for you. And like I said, by showing you what my process is, you guys should be able to duplicate this as well. Makes sense? Okay. Yeah, like I said, Dan, I'm trying not to overthink it. I know technical-wise, I'd like this to the downside. That way, one way that I would probably, in my own account, I probably wouldn't send this to you guys, but my own account, what I would look to do is I would definitely look to go short this this spread. Not again, this is not me telling you guys to do this, so please don't think that that's what I'm telling you to do. But because I like this to the downside already anyway, I would most likely take this. I would do this spread. Okay. Now, that is kind of counterintuitive in some sense, because when the interest rate goes up, typically that strengthens the currency. So it should send the pound dollar up, but everybody expects it to rise. And they may have already said that, which typically means that it's already baked in. So when everybody knows it's going to happen, they bake that into the price. The problem is if it doesn't happen, what's going to happen? You know, that's kind of what I'm playing. For this one, I could spend, you know, I end up risking $39 or something like that. But this thing could absolutely, I mean, if it, put it this way, if the interest rate does not go up, this thing will easily drop 100 pips tomorrow. So in this case, I mean, this would be down in the 131 range. So this would be $1,000, about $1,500 trade, you know, if this one goes. So that's kind of, you know, that's what I'm looking for. What are you using to find ATR? I use a 14 period, Dan, for that one. Well, you have this webinar recorded. Benny, probably not. I think it auto records, but I don't think we'll publish it anywhere. All right, so let's go to natural gas. Okay, natural gas is one of those ones that I can send. I don't have to send. So natural gas, I'm looking at the same thing. For breakouts in natural gas. Now, this is where I want to bring up one of our students. So he's a programmer, so he's much better at this. I've been doing it manually and kind of tracking it, and it's how I built the program. He actually went in there and got the statistics on how often it moves over a certain amount. And what he found was over, I believe it's 78 or 80% of the time, you have at least a 5% move on news days for natural gas. So the fact that there are 2 or 3 strike prices above and below, the analysis is not perfect because you know, some days they're kind of funky days, so it really kind of boils back down to a miss or not a miss. But because they're 2 apart, we're looking at 2 or 3 strike prices. You know, the strikes are apart. So 29.05 is where we're at right now. We're kind of a little bit above, so we're going to kind of get funky things. Let me see here. So this one, for me, because it's a little bit above, I'm kind of torn between one of these 2 strike prices in here. You know, can it move 40? Can it move 50 cents? Absolutely. You know that, and that's what it says, that it'll move at least 50 cents over here inside that time frame. So would I feel comfortable taking the $14 one? Sure, I would. I like the 24 better because it's closer. But ideally, I'd like this price to come back down to 129 before I entered it. Okay. On the downside, kind of the same thing. Will it drop 50 cents in a downward direction? Yeah, 80% of the time it will. If we're here, we're looking somewhere in this range. Okay, somewhere between $15 and $20. So even if we take the close one, right? If we take this $80 one, we have just under $19.50 risk. And then take this one over here, the $24.50. So what we would need on the top side is a 35-cent move. And on the downside, we would need a little bit more than that. Yeah, I'd probably take that one. So basically, we need 45 on the way down. Yeah, we need 45 on the way down and 50 on, or you know, about 50 on the way up. Okay, can that move? Yeah, 80% of the time it's going to move that much. Okay, so I would be okay taking that one, risking, like I said, 25 and 19. So you're looking at what, $34 on that one? To me, that seems like a good spread that you'd be able to take. Now, could you go farther out? Sure, you could. You know, this is a discussion I had with a student earlier today. You know, would I take the $14 one? I'm not as big into taking the $14 ones because the farther out you go, yes, it's much, much cheaper and it's lower risk, but your probability of success is much lower. Jack loves these like really far out ones. You know, he's gotten some crazy ones on the ES for like $5 a shot where they're like all the way out here, and they have come down and he's been successful on them. But for me, I'm all about statistics. I prefer those. Now, some people have asked me, well, what about this one, Brian? Would you take the $34.75? Well, if I could find something on the other side, right, that says I'm going to risk, say, $60, but I only needed to move 15 cents, would I take that one? The answer is yes, but I would be all over it and I'd be watching it. The chance of success on that one is very high, particularly if you set the trade the night before, because it has all morning to move. Okay. A lot of times you'll find this thing may tick all the way down or may tick all the way up to 129.15 or almost 129.20, right where that strike price is. And if I can double my money here, I'll get out. So that's handy sometimes, but you got to cover the other side. So those are a little bit harder to do. Like I said, if I'm going to risk 34, I'd much rather take a spread on that one. So let me dive over to the spreads so you can kind of see natural gas, 230 spreads. So 125. Yeah, so same thing. I mean, I could buy this one and it would be $42. So why risk 60 to make 40 when I can risk 40 on this one and have a lot more room for, like profit potential. I like this one a lot better. And again, it's messed up because I have it all set for mobile. Had I known that I was going to do this, I would have done it differently. But yeah, so this one can be nice. Now, a lot of times I find for natural gas, I do like spreads better. This one, the same thing. I like the binary better. I think the binary pricing is a better pricing for this one. Most likely the guys would do the same thing. I don't have a chart up for that one. Let me see here. Give me 1 second and I'll pull it up. Well, you know what? Here, I'll just pull it across for you guys. 1 second. Let me share this. Let me pull this back. And let's do Thinkorswim. Okay, now let me pull this platform over here. This is why playing with multiple monitors is always fun. Where are we at? All right, natural gas. So natural gas has really been kind of sideways. Does that mean that I would trade this one on a butterfly? Probably not today. Most likely I would trade that on a Friday. Its range is going to be from 2.8 up to 1.16. I don't really see I don't see a big gigantic candle or any reason for one of these kind of parabolic candles, but that doesn't mean it couldn't happen. But as far as the range goes, that kind of makes sense where it would go down to. Like I said, we need the price to come up over in this area, which it could easily do that. I see this causing problems here up in the 3.3 area. But there's no reason why it couldn't jump over there up into this area. So again, we've had pretty narrow kind of news lately. You're typically getting, 30 or 40, but we've been pretty accurate lately. So I think that's leveling out. This isn't a bad one either, guys, if you wanted to take this. Like I said, this one I like more on the statistics of it than I do the actual chart. And that happens sometimes. But that's sometimes why I'll trade different, I'll send the trades or I don't send the things. So let me go back and look at your questions real quick. You make this look easy. Well, to be honest with you guys, it's not really as difficult as it seems. A lot of people will get kind of nervous. They're like, oh, I took one loser. Okay. And it's going to happen. I mean, listen, nobody's perfect. I'm not saying that I'm the greatest trader in the world because I'm definitely not. But when you stack the odds in your favor, trading is not gambling. I mean, obviously the way that we're doing this news, it kind of is because we want them to be wrong. But the statistics tell us they're going to be wrong more than they're right. And the reason we use an ATR is it's going to tell us what the average move is. And if we set up a trade beyond, if we set up a trade and it's not even what the averages are, that we're stacking the odds in our favor. And that's what trading is. It's about getting the odds in your favor. So in essence, it is easy. I mean, I used to tell people, trading's simple. It's not easy. I mean, when you have to look at red or you get into a position that's negative, yes, it can be very, very hard to do. And it can be very discouraging when you have a smaller size account and you start losing some trades in a row. Trust me, for me, it's very stressful for me to send trades out to you guys, especially when I know they don't work, so it's kind of hard that way. But yes, it is very simple. If you keep it kind of that simple mentality, though, you'll find that when you're not right, it becomes easier to stomach. I also think it's best to put out a nightly trade alert video for education purposes. Yeah, Lorenzo, I mean, if I could spend 24 hours a day teaching you guys how to do this, Lorenzo, I definitely would. I just don't have enough time to be able to do, alert and a video every single day. Actually, Nadex just asked me to start writing articles for them as well. So, Jack does them on Sundays, and I'm going to start doing them at least Wednesdays. Last week's went gangbusters. It was that pound dollar trade that I sent out, and it literally did everything I said it was going to do in 2 days. So they're like, give me more, give me more, give me more. So, I would like to do that, but like I said, you can always email me, and I'm open to that. Are you generally seeing before termination? John, do me a favor. Explain that again, because I'm not sure what you're talking about there. I just want to make sure I'm in the thing. Remember, can you show how you get out of a binary contract early to take profit? Tariq, sure, I can do that. Yeah, Tariq is asking, how do we get out of a binary contract early to take profits? So There's two ways. One, set a working order, and you'll see a lot of binary traders will set working orders to take themselves out of things at either $95 or $5. The way they do a working order is they literally click on there, whatever the position is, you click on the position and it will give you the opposite order, and then drag it to 95 or 5. That way, if it spikes, like you'll notice things never go to zero. So if we cancel this share and go back to the Natics platform. So let me go back to a binary. Okay. You notice at the top how this is not zero? I mean, this is way far away, right? If you guys can see this, I don't know if I can make this any bigger for you guys. There we go. If I go anymore, it's going to get cut off. All right. Do you see how the offers over here are never zero? So what people are doing is they're taking advantage of this and setting them for $95. So this is almost 100 pips away, right? Actually, let me shrink it a little bit so I can see for sure. Yeah, this is 100 pips away, right? And it's $5. So if this thing got parabolic and went crazy, right, you'd be able to get out of your position still without waiting till expiration. So that's one way that people do it with binaries. They will put a position on, then set their working order. If it's a buy, when it's worth $95. Because you see at the bottom too, see how these are 99, 98? Again, that's because you're buying them. It's a little bit different. But to sell them is what you have to worry about if you're buy here. So say we bought this one for $14 or $26, right? You can set a working order to take yourself out when it's at $95 or $94.25. Seems to be the sweet spot over here. You know, see how this drastically and then stops at 96? So set it for $96.25. You'll get yourself out of it at $96, and this thing can tick away for 18 more hours with your profit. All right. I'm trading Natics on my iPhone. Wow. So there's a funny story about that, actually. The other thing, okay, so with spreads, it's kind of the same idea. I always set a profit target when I do spreads. Why? Because you'll get whipsaws around. So like tomorrow, right before the exchange rate hike for pound comes out, that thing is going to probably have a 50 or 60 pip candle wicking up and down. Okay. So that's the one that, like, those are the things that you want to have a working order with. There's not a lot of slippage in this. When it hits, it hits. It's not like futures where you can get down to the tick. It will pretty much trigger on you every time. I haven't had a situation yet where I had a working order in and the indicative touched it and I did not get filled yet. Okay. Maybe it can happen. I haven't had it happen to me yet. So depending on what it is, someone's asking 1 to 3 need to be rich 26%. Yeah, Derek, absolutely. Although typically intraday trades or day trades, you're typically taking 1 to 2s, not 1 to 3s. 1 to 3s are ideal, and you can get them sometimes. With spreads, a lot of times I do get them, but with my binaries, when they take them out early, I don't necessarily get those. I get 2 to 1s typically on my binaries. All right. But you guys understand how to get yourselves out. That's kind of what I was, that's more the money management aspect of it. How much do I have to set to take profit to buy and sell to make 15 Natics? Yeah, Abe, it's the same thing. Yeah, if you're risking $50, you automatically, if the trade is correct, you make 50 in the other direction. So there's nothing to, but what I would do is I wouldn't set it for 50. You would set it for 95, or if you're selling it, set it for 5. That way you can bank the majority of it without having to hold it till expiration. An example is today. I don't know if you guys can see this. So the alert that I sent out last night, I'm still trying to investigate this. When I set the trade last night for the euro, the dollar yen, I was trying, for some reason, I put it in for myself at 114.20, and I thought that's the alert that I had sent out, but I'm finding out that I put 40 and 60. It was supposed to be 20 and 40. And literally this thing came down to like the last second. And again, I watched it. It was kind of annoying on me. And the same thing, we were actually positive in the oil trade until 30 minutes before. So see right here, this is right here is where, oh wait, no, yeah, it's here. Right here is where the trade basically expired. It literally popped right above at the last second for me to get paid for it. So you got to be careful. It was 95 over here, so you would have been taken out well in advance multiple times. Actually, over here and over here, you would have been taken out too. So by holding it till the end, you have to deal with things like this. We're taking your profit at the last second versus had I set a working order on there, I could have got out here, or actually this one was too soon. This one definitely, it would have taken me out over here earlier because it was at 95 multiple times. All right. So you got to be careful about things like this. So that's how you would set that one, Abe. So how do you do working orders for spreads to close? Well, so it's the same way. Okay, you put the spread on, and literally you just click it. It does the automatic reverse. Hit the button up or down. So the same way that you enter a trade, it's the same way that you take it off. Forex spreads, click one here. Say I did this one. If I put this position on, when I clicked it over in the open positions, it would literally give me this one. It would give me the opposite. Okay, and literally it's as simple as changing the price. See how you go here and it moves what you want to do? Now remember, everything here is going to be much higher. It's as simple as this. Just set what you want it to, up and down on the price. And that's it. Okay. And then it'll automatically trigger and take you out for it. I got to call you for next. Oh, it's just not supporting. I mean, it's not in the App Store. Yep, Steven, that's correct. And the reason why I actually just found out about that yesterday. Google, we don't have a problem, but Androids do. Basically, because of, I guess, pressure from, I don't know, whoever is in charge, they basically did, this is Apple now. They did a complete ban of binary options, basically because of offshore brokerage firms, kind of the same reason that we've dealt with, that we bring up, that offshore brokerage firms are really dangerous. Don't use them. Use only Nadex. Well, unfortunately, it just searched for binary and pulled every single one of them off. So Nadex is in talks right now with Apple to get it reinstituted back on again. They just have to change the filter on it, but they're basically calling everybody, and they're actively on top of that one. Literally, Apple just didn't know. They didn't realize that it was a regulated, US approved binary options firm. So I saw that and I was like, what? We were kind of surprised, and trust me, they were more than slightly upset about that one. Let me see. What other questions? Let me see. If you're risking $50, how do you take back? Okay, Brian, this is good stuff. I finally see the light at the end then. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, that makes sense. Funny how avocado is offshore too. Yeah, I know, right? Isn't it? Yeah. That's why I'm not an Apple user. Okay, so that's how I build these things, guys. Let me just run back to the agenda. All right, so let's talk about money management real quick. I've already covered kind of the futures idea, but as far as money management goes, so a lot of times when people send me trades, I'll ask them how many contracts they put on. Be careful of how much money you're risking. I mean, obviously the minimum contract size that you can do in binaries is 1, okay? But if you're using like a $500 account, be very careful. Don't place more than 1 trade. Try to take, don't risk more than, $50 on a trade if you can. I know a lot of people are trying to use these to kind of supplement their CAF. Until you guys really get it and you feel confident in what you're doing, do not over leverage the account. Small accounts are harder to trade than big ones, typically because people consider them like a disposable income. So really focus on, once you've been doing one contract for a while, then move to 2, and then move to 5, and then move to 10. Like I said, Jack will trade up in the 190 contract range. I don't trade 190 contracts or 150. Seeing some of the position, some of the sizes that Jack throws on are just, I don't know, different thing. I mean, I'm married. I have 2 kids. Actually, I just found out that I have a 3rd one on the way. Jack's 27 years old, no mortgage. So we have different kind of things that we're looking to do. Jack is an amazing trader. I mean, he made $60,000 in one position using Nadex. I don't trade that big to make that much money. I make what I need, and that's it. So you have to be comfortable with the size that you're trading. Do not over leverage your account. Okay. These signals are meant to teach you guys how to do it. And it's kind of like what I'm looking at and what I'm trading. I'm not an advisory firm. Don't sell the house and mortgage everything based off of my signals. Okay. I'm a human being. I can make mistakes too. I'm willing to admit that. I want you guys to be able to learn and take from this. The way that I'd like you to use the signals is I want you to use my signals in addition to the signals that you're finding for yourself. Okay. I don't want you to just take everything I do blindly. Like I said, I'm not, the second coming of Jesus. That's just not how it is. Okay. Use my signals in addition to your own trading. Okay. Eventually you will see my trades and say, hey, you know what? I like that trade setup, but I'm going to do it this way to make it a little bit better. Okay. You can make mistakes, just don't. Yeah. So, I mean, like I have some fun different things that, we can try and do. Eric and I have been testing some hybrids with binaries and spreads at the same time in the same trade. And there's a lot of cool things we want to do for you and release and kind of give you this, the kind of like the latest breaking things that we're testing. But I can only do that when I know that people aren't just taking everything blindly, that they're thinking about the decisions. the reason I wanted to do tonight, and I wanted you guys to like run you through the process of what I'm following, is so you can do the same thing and say, okay, this is what Brian did. I either like his reasoning or I don't. And feel free. You don't, again, it's your money. Take what you guys are comfortable with taking, but risk small to make small. Okay. I'm sorry, risk small to make bigger. Okay. One of the biggest challenges that most traders, regardless of whether it's Nadex or Forex or futures, it's the position sizing and the money management aspect of it that kills them. Okay. They don't get it, or they over leverage. And then, I got super nervous that first week when I was getting messages from people making $1,500 off a signal. I'm like, man, you guys just started. I know you haven't gone through all the training. I don't even have the examples up yet. You guys are risking, large amounts of money. And I'm happy they made 1,500, but I don't want you to keep trading crazy when you don't understand it. So one of those things, be cautious about the money management. Once you feel like you're doing it, or once you feel like you're better than me, then go crazy with it. But if you're going to take the signals, I want you guys to risk small, use them as learning experiences, learn how to make them better. I mean, to this day, I still look at every single trade that I got wrong and figure out, could I have done anything differently? And I still document everything. I want you guys to document your trades so you can get better at them. All right. As far as the future signal ideas, we kind of covered that. I'd like to start sending you guys the overnight trades using a single, the single spreads. The spreads are very powerful. Not enough people actually use them, and it will keep your risk lower. Instead of risking $30 or $40, you're going to risk 15 or 18, and you'll make, just as much money as you would have made on the other one. So it will lower our risk to half, and it will keep our profits the same. That's always a good way to do it. We may lose, a little bit more, but with half the risk, we can lose just as many and still make more money. Okay. I like to lower our risk as small as possible. Particularly if you guys are going to be trading in the morning, definitely use 2-hour spreads. They're absolutely amazing to use in the morning. Don't rely on just binaries for these things. A lot of times you can get into a 2-hour, if the time matches up right, you can get into a news breakout super, super, super cheap with a 2-hour binary. Okay. And one of the nice things, I'm sorry, not a binary, a spread. Okay. If you're going to use spreads for news in the morning, use the 2 hours. They have less premium in there. You still get the same dollar for dollar movement. The difference is once the news release happens, if it doesn't move or it's not going to move on you, and it was exactly as expected, sell out and get out right away. You'll capture the same premium that you got into it for. They're much better than the overnight ones. All right. Let's see. So for the spread alerts, we just placed the opposite of our bid. Yes, that's exactly how you do it, Matt. Yep. You put it on, then once it's on inside of the open position section, you'll see it inside of hold on, I got to go back to the actual, I don't know why everybody's calling me tonight. So right here, you'll see it in the open position. Where's my cursor? All right, you can't see it. In the open position section, you'll see it. Oh, there we go. You'll see it here. Just click on it, and it will do the exact opposite of it. Then all you have to do is hit the up or down arrow, and it'll take you plus or minus, and take your profit to $45 or $50 or whatever you like to see. Okay, that's the best way to do it. Do you do both binary and spreads at the same time? Angela, yes, I will. Actually, we have a hybrid strategy that we are working on right now. It only works in the upward direction, but it can get you into trades with kind of a risk of like $3 if it goes down. Okay. There is kind of a donut hole that can hurt you a little bit higher up. But thus far, we haven't really hit the donut hole yet because we put things far enough out there. But the example is again, like I said, this is something we're still testing and it seems to be working well. We're buying a spread in the upper, buying the floor, and we're buying in the upper direction and then selling a binary above it. We've taken one in a donut hole and only lost like $25 or $20 on there. But the goal is to get you into an upward based or an upward bias position for like $3 a shot. So you can, for $3 a shot, you can take 4 or 5 of these things, risk $15 and, end up making, $90 to $100 on a lot of these things, and even more if it goes farther. So it's not officially published yet, but yes, we are combining them in the same thing. Let's see what else here. Traders pay attention to what he's saying. Okay. All right. So as far as the agenda goes, that's everything I have. Like I said, it was pretty informal. I really want to focus on how exactly I create them, how we send them out. I will start sending more trades out. I got to report back to the guys that everybody was okay with that. As I mentioned, they're out in Vegas right now. So once I touch base with them, you will probably start seeing those. If I can send one out tonight, I will. I have to write an article after this. But if not, I will probably start sending them. You'll see those start the amount of signals kind of increase coming out soon, and go from there. The t-shirt and the hat on that. Nice. So any other questions, any other feedback? Like I said, the trades today, the pound trade, I was hoping for the pound news to be bad. It wasn't. It was good. So it was kind of split both ways. I ended up getting, I think, $30 out of it. So I made money on it today. I think everybody would have made money on that, depending on where you got in. So, you know, did we make $1 million on it? No, but it was definitely profitable. The pound yen trade didn't work out for most people. Like I said, I must have put the wrong numbers in. I take full blame for that one. I'm not sure. I know it was moving a lot when I was sending that one out, and I was trying to get it out sooner. I ended up making it by like a pip in there, but I guess a lot of people didn't based off that signal. And then the oil trade today, nothing we could do on that one. I almost sent you guys an alert right before the FOMC news today and said, if you're in oil, get out, you know, bank the profit. I didn't think it would have as big of effect as it did, but literally all day it dropped. We were in, you know, past our profit target. We were good to go. And then FOMC 30 minutes before popped it over. So, you know, oil is not one of those things that FOMC notes typically pop, but they did talk about how, you know, there was oversupply, and they did actually bring it up in FOMC because of the hurricanes. So nothing I could do about that one. I did my best, and they don't all work out. So, but it is what it is. You know, that's why we trade, and you know, we make sure we keep our risk low. So, I haven't got any trade alerts. When do you send them out? Tariq, they sent out I sent a bunch out last night. If you didn't get them, send me an email. Let me go back to the slideshow so you guys can see the email. Let me see here. Go here. Let's see. Presentation. Oh, I lost it. Where did it go? Oops. Okay. Those are the two email addresses, guys. You can either email me directly or email support. Typically, if it's a question about how you did not get signals, send that one to support. I'm not necessarily the technical help desk with this. I can't see people's emails or anything like that. I have access to the text list and that software. But unless you haven't sent a text reply back, I don't have any way to see that. It is what it is. If you weren't able to purchase them before, you can get back in. There is a link for that one somewhere. I will make sure that we send that out. I'll have everybody make, you know, email. Oh, hold on. It's on the wrong one. How about that one? Can you see that one better? Sometimes I do send an alert to trade it, to take yourself out. Typically, if you see one in the morning at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock telling you to protect things or, you know, don't lose your profit, that's me sending those out. Eric typically just sends one and goes from there. If I'm around and I'm at the desk and I see something, I will tell you guys to protect it a lot of times, yes. But I mean, you should be willing to take it either way. And Nathan, do me a favor, email support@MajorLeagueTrading.com and ask them for the link for the signals if you don't already have it. Now, guys, a lot of you have already emailed me before in the past. If you guys ever have any questions about things, feel free to email me. I do get a fair amount of email, so it's not like I'm going to respond instantly. I do try my best, and some of you in here have sent me emails, and I've responded back right away. Oh, there you go. There's a link right there. Man, you guys are awesome. You guys have more links than I do. I'm actually not on my trading computer. I'm on my laptop right now, so I don't have access to all the stuff I normally have access to. That's why it's a little bit clunkier tonight. But so that's all I have. I mean, I'll hang around for another minute or two, guys. We took an hour instead of 45 minutes. I apologize for going a little bit over. But if you have any other questions, go ahead and feel free to type them right now, and I'll answer. Like I said, I like that pound trade. I'm going to take that pound trade myself, and I'll probably send that one out as an alert. There's just too many things in there. I mean, it's one of those trades where if I can't find a reason not to take it, it's one of those, you know, I'll send it out. And I'm going to tell them that everybody inside of the webinar said it was a good trade. So, so any other questions, I'll give you guys about another minute or two to type them in. And if not, we are done for the evening. Yeah, you're welcome, Dan. And like I said, if you guys ever feel like you're super frustrated, don't hesitate to email me. You're welcome, Matt and Rebecca. Yeah, spreads are fun. The more I'm trading spreads, the more I like them. Nadex, actually, I talked to one of the main guys over there last week after I submitted the article, and he said they're actually going to be expanding spreads a little bit more. That they're excited that they've gotten kind of I guess the code or whatever it is for it. But he said, yeah, instead of only having 3 or 5 spreads now, they're going to go up to 7 or 9, which I was pretty excited about because that'll give us more options and more room to play with spreads. So I'm pretty excited about those. Yes, David. I don't buy an iPhone regardless of what it is. I'll stay over there. When would you pick them? Yeah. So, Greg. So, good question. I typically, all right. So, if you pick the 7 a.m., you're not going to get any U.S. based news in there, and if you pick the 11 o'clock, you're only going to have time where the London markets are battling the U.S. market. So here's what happens. So until the U.S. market opens, so London opens at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Europe can do anything they want with their currency. The pound and the euro can go any direction, and there's no big players in that market. Okay. When the pound was really, was linked to the European Union, as far as currencies go, they tended to always move in step. Now, because they're breaking free, it's a little bit different. But you got to realize there's no big player in that market. So the euro dollar is the most traded currency pair in the world by far, more than anything. Okay. So the big players in that market are basically the euro. There's no US, so they can say we're going to make the dollar strong or we're going to make the dollar weak, and it's either going to help us or it's going to hurt the United States, and vice versa. So what happens is once they come into the market for that hour that they're together, there's a battle, and we got to figure out where the U.S. wants to take it. They're either going to jump on board what Europe's doing in order to make the dollar strong or the dollar weak, or they're going to battle them and lock heads for an hour. Then at 11 o'clock, Europe leaves. Their market closes, and it's just the United States in the market. So a lot of times, if you're going to use an 11 o'clock, understand, there's a reason why the markets typically reverse between 10, I'd say between 10:15 and 10:45. 10:30 is a big number. It's because the Europeans are leaving the markets. All the big guys over there are gone, and it's just U.S.-based traders. All right. So for me, that's why a lot of times I use the 3 p.m. so that way the U.S. session can do its thing. But the markets do start being less volatile during that time for currencies because we're the only market open. So, the sweet spot for currencies is to that 11 o'clock one, so all the news is in there, but it doesn't mean things can't move in the afternoon, particularly if we have rate hikes or, big, somebody speaking in the afternoon. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, because it depends on whether or not you want to encompass, because most U.S. news is done by 11 a.m. So it's kind of like if you're trading, here's why. All right. So if you're expecting the pound or the euro to move, right? What could happen is it can move all night long for you, right? And then when U.S. traders step in, it could reverse, which is pretty common. So that's why I said use the 11 or the 7 or the 11 and not necessarily a 3 if you expect to take profit on it early. Because that can happen sometimes. So it's kind of like, do you want to include U.S. or not include U.S.? And then after 12 o'clock, it typically starts to flatline. There is no Nadex Apple on iPhones right now. Apple made a big boo-boo and erased all binary firms off there by mistake. So they have to put that back on again. You'll get an update. Yeah, the pound yen trade is a good one to trade also. Yeah, you could do that one as well, Rich. A lot of times whenever you have news, if you compare it against the yen, that's a great thing to do. The only reason I would have to look at the prices to see if that one's as good as the euro dollar or not. It's just the fact that there is dollar news tomorrow as well. That one has a little bit of a leg up, but you can do pound yen also. It's totally up to you. Yeah, I would do 3 p.m. tomorrow. I just haven't had as much luck with the 7 p.m. ones because the market tends to kind of reset for the Asian session. As great as they sound, I just, for some reason, I've had a lot of trades that if the binary was a 4 or 415 like everything else, I would have hit it. But the 7 p.m. would have messed it up. Yeah, but also you just can't download it again. So if you delete it right now, you can't get it again. Yeah. Um, I think we're at like 65 or 68 or something like that. Eric keeps all those things. Um, and Roberto, it's hard because like sometimes I'll give you guys the option of sending them two out, and one hits, one doesn't, or both of them hit. Um, so I don't really necessarily count that as two signals. It's just one signal with it's like one setup with two signals. So it's kind of hard. And same thing, if I'm risking $18, but then I just made $60, I don't really care what my winning percentage is. That's just me. But message Eric. Eric keeps all that data. But it's over. I know it's over 50% if you're into that. All right, guys. Any other questions? Do me a favor and email me. It's 9:06. I'm going to go write my article for Nadex. The one I wrote last week was actually on spreads, and worked out quite well. So email me if you have any questions, Brian@MajorLeagueTrading.com. If it's anything technical related, about not getting signals or anything like that, getting enrolled in anything, go ahead and message support@MajorLeagueTrading. Typically that goes down to Eric. Or he's one of Eric and Tristan, the two that manage that one. I do not look at that one. So if you send a question to me to support, it typically takes a day or two to get to me. And when I get your emails, I will respond back when I get them. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to again shut this down. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. And, like I said, email me with any questions, and have a good night. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you again.